Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Folks, we are here today and we are going to take down the Alteryx Machine Learning Fundamentals Micro-Credential. Now, a little background. I've actually had this thing for a while. For reasons that I won't get into, when I got hired at Alteryx, I now have two community accounts. I'm not cheating anybody. It's just that I had a personal account and then you get a company account when you come to the company. And I tried to reconcile that and I couldn't. So I just said, whatever, this is how it's going to work. Um, so I got a notification that on my company account, I did not actually have the machine learning fundamentals micro-credential. And I thought, how can that be? I've had that cert for quite some time, and I realized that was on my personal account. Then I went back and I said, surely I have done the machine learning micro-credential on my YouTube channel. Also, no. I did the Auto Insights one. I did all of the core micro-credentials. Did not do the machine learning one. So, hey, haven't done a YouTube video in a while, haven't done any Alteryx content in a while. Why not? Let's go. We haven't come out with any new certs in a while. So I'm not sure if any are in the offing. Haven't talked to the ladies on the certification team in some time. So we're going a bit suns out, guns out. It is delightful weather here today. I actually got a little boo-boo on my shoulder, so I took one of my extra large Inspire shirts and cut the sleeves off. So hopefully it's not too much skin for the old YouTube algorithm. And I threw on the hat for good measure because why not? Let's just go ahead and geek out all the way. All right. So if we can share real quick, let's take a look. So first stop on our certification journey is we're going to go to community.alteryx.com. Community.alteryx.com, easy to find, easy to get a username and password, and everything we're doing today is totally free. So I'm a big fan of kind of low-level certifications, especially just trying to hit my dog's right behind me. What are you doing there, Goofy? Especially just when you're trying to establish yourself early on, entry-level data analysts. There are a lot of good low-level certifications you can get out there totally free. I'm working on a couple of Snowflake ones. I have a Databricks one. Just shows kind of familiarity with the platform, but it shows that you're going to the website. It shows that you're showing interest. They're not super difficult to get. I can tell you from personal experience, this machine learning fundamentals micro-credential, not super difficult to get. Anyone with a mind for data science, I think, can take down this test pretty easily, as you'll see. But just in general, I'm a big fan. If you can do a certification for free, if you can invest like a few hours of study, just kind of get in and play with a platform potentially, it really goes a long way to showing your progress, your interest, your discipline and dedication, your your dedication to your craft. And surprisingly few people do these certifications. Now, they're not the be all end all. You will not, there's no certification out there in data analytics that's like, woo, look at you, here's a job. You still got to do the legwork. However, they can be a differentiator. And if you're putting in the work to earn these things, that does kind of go a long way. So, all right, all that public service announcement over. Let's get into it. Community.alteryx.com is going to take you to our certification program. The first page that's going to come up right here is these micro credentials. I should probably make sure my zoom's turned on. Of course it's not. Why would it be? Silly me. Talk amongst yourself. Zoom in. Help if I could type. There we go. Okay, zoom it's on. Bing, bang, boom. Look at that, zooming in. Okay, so the first thing you're going to come to is our micro credentials page right here. These are the easy ones. This is kind of the low-hanging fruit. Now, I will tell you, not all of these tests are easy. I definitely failed this Auto Insights one the first time I tried it. So, and there's a YouTube video on that elsewhere on the interwebs, on the YouTubeosphere. But machine learning fundamentals, not a super difficult one. if you just kind of know fundamentals of data science and the data science process and all that sort of good stuff. So you can see this is my work account, major data up there. I've got 0 credit for any of these. Shame on me. So we're going to go ahead and take the exam. But before we do that, let's go through the study program. If you are not as super smart as me, in other words, if you haven't been paid to teach these darn classes for the last 2 years, I'm not that smart. You probably need to study a little bit, or at least review some stuff. So here we go. Now you can go from here to certification resources. And right here is the Machine Learning Fundamentals Micro-Credential Exam Prep Guide. We get paid by the word for those titles. I'm going to go back, and then here it is. So you can download this thing. Of this, it's, what is it, 8 pages. Of that, probably about 2 pages are useful knowledge. Here it describes the test, all kind of table stakes. 40 questions, multiple choice. There is no practical application on this. You do not have to download Designer and get Intelligence Suite, which is the kind of machine learning suite of tools for desktop. You also don't have to get Cloud, AML, Alteryx machine learning platform, none of that stuff. They are all kind of theoretical and conceptual questions. So exam outline here, machine learning concepts, 40%, 40 questions, 40%, 16 questions. Data prep and analysis, evaluation and interpretation of models. Okay. So that's the breakdown. You can see the particular topics here. For the longer tests like the advanced certification, this is tremendously useful. For this, if you go through the study path, you should be fine. So what do we want to study? Well, here it tells you there's 3 things. So interactive lesson defining data, we'll take a look at that. Start working through the machine learning interactive lessons. I recommend you probably should do all of those. They're really pretty quick. And then the data science learning path. For my money, you don't actually need to do that. Now, it is great learning and there's good stuff. And if you intend to use Alteryx Intelligence Suite, the predictive tools, time series, clustering, all of those nifty kind of citizen data science stuff, highly recommend that data science learning path. To pass this test, I don't believe you need to do that learning path. But let's take a look at these resources and the time involved. So right here, defining data, that's the first part. It's saying this is a 36-minute study. Probably if you're in the data science universe writ large, this will probably be all you want. So you got, talking about types of data, file types, data types, metadata. Yeah, anyway, all pretty boilerplate stuff. I'm not going to do that, but absolutely recommend that you do if that's something you feel like you need. And then here we've got, let's back up one screen. Here we've got our interactive lessons. So these have various times. We'll go over the times required for these. You got machine learning in the process. This is 5 classes here. Machine learning in the process, framing the question, the data set, the evaluation and deployment, and mastering Alteryx machine learning for business impact. This one here is the longest of them. I would say this one you probably don't need because the icon there, that is specifically dealing with AML, the cloud machine learning platform. So great learning. Is it necessary to pass this test? I would say probably not. And then here's the data science learning path. Now this is fairly extensive. It doesn't give you an estimate of how long, but I kind of rough swagged it. But you've got over here, you've got the clustering classes. Over here, this is Alteryx Intelligence Suite. So you've got assisted modeling, text mining, and data investigation. So all sorts of good stuff down here. Time series, ETS, ARIMA. Good things to learn. Do you need them for the machine learning fundamentals micro exam? The proof is in the pudding. I'm about to take the test. I'll come back and report my initial blush and my recall of the test from before, not so much. Okay. All right. So let's go back here and let me take a look at this. So total time commitment, what are we looking at? If you want to go through that defining data course, it estimates that at 36 minutes. Then you've got those interactive, the four across the top, the ones that I would say maybe you actually do need, especially if it's been a while. If you don't kind of swim in the data science waters on a daily basis, then you're looking at what's that, like 20 minutes. And then AML, if you want to take that class, that's 35 minutes. I don't think that's going to give you much for this test. And then the data science learning path, good learning, maybe not so much for this test. I would estimate as probably about 2 hours. I tend to dawdle through classes like this if they're self-paced. I'm easily distracted. Shiny things fly past my face and I come back an hour later. So 2 hours, your individual results may vary. So I estimate it's probably 3 to 3.5 hours if you want to do all of this stuff. But like I said, not necessarily. If you just wanted to do these first kind of 5 rows here, you'd be under an hour of prep and you'd probably be okay. All right. And hey, bottom line, there is no harm, no foul if you fail this test. You take it, you fail it, you only got to wait a week to take it again. And, kind of failing forward isn't a bad idea, or yeah, isn't a bad move with these tests because you can go ahead and just figure out what you need to learn. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and press pause on the recording of this video. I'm going to go take this test and I will come report back. Now, as always, I can't give you answers. I won't take screenshots or anything like that. I'm not going to tell you what individual questions there are. However, I'll come back and tell you, my impressions of the test, the things that you need to focus on. They're right there in the study guide anyway. All right, with that, pause, we'll take the test and I will time myself and see how long it takes me. All right, Alteryx fans, machine learning aficionados, we are back. It is a pass. I'm not super proud of the score. I was just trying to sort of power through so that we could get this video done. And I was reasonably certain that I was going to pass. Now, I'm not even sure we don't usually say what the cut line is anymore. Yeah, it doesn't say. Um, so I know that in the past, all the cut lines, it was 80% to pass the test. Um, what it is now, couldn't tell you. But anyway, so yeah, oh, there we are. Okay, so 84%, nothing to write home about, but I didn't do any review, and you see wrapped it up in about 11 minutes there. So let's take a quick look at the results. Oh, come on now. There it is. Okay, so quick look at the results. Machine learning basics, models, or a lot of questions about different kinds of models. Um, Good on those. Machine learning process, I didn't do so hot, and then data prep. Whoosh. Um, I think there were some questions just on prep procedures, a lot of stuff on the the steps in the data science process in on this test. They're not the same as what we usually teach, which is the CRISP methodology. Um, Verbiage was a little different. There were some questions about process that I kind of felt was a little, they weren't worded the greatest. But anyway, so process still did good enough. Missing values or some questions on like imputation and inferring means and medians and modes and stuff like that. Fine. Didn't do the greatest there. Um, Data properties, a lot of questions about kind of types of data and things like that. So that was stressed in the study guide. Definitely hit that up if you're not, I don't know, if you don't know the definitions of your Booleans and categoricals and numerics and whatnot. Um, yeah, a lot of questions about splitting the data, about building and testing and validation data sets. A lot of questions about hyperparameter tuning, about feature engineering, just all of the process things in machine learning. But really nothing, there's no questions in there about, how do you configure tools in Designer to do data science. They did ask about just the terminology of Alteryx tools, but yeah, that was about it. So anyway, folks, once more, just to recap, Alteryx machine learning micro-credential. I highly recommend that you take some of these tests. All of our Alteryx tests are free up to when you get to the expert level, which we're working on the expert test, so you can't take those anyway. So all of the tests for Alteryx that you can currently take if you go to community.alteryx.com, they are all completely free. No other platform can say that. If you want to go take a Tableau test, you're going to pay, which if you followed my Tableau desktop certification series, you would know that. So folks, I'd like to get back to, I do have some kind of unfinished business here with Alteryx certification content. I never did finish my advanced certification series. Life happened. That was like a year and a half ago. I should definitely get back to that. I do have my advanced certification, but definitely want to get back to making some good content and helping people out there. So I hope this was helpful to you. Go ahead, throw it in the comments. What questions do you have about the test, about Alteryx in general? And let me know if you go ahead and take the test, if you gain the certification. I'd love to see it posted on LinkedIn. Tag me if you felt this content was helpful. And then let me know what you'd like to see next. I'll, I'll probably keep going with content here on YouTube at some point in the near future. With that, Semper Fidelis, my friends, and I will talk.